Arsenal are top of the league, and I'm about to say something that a lot of fans are not going to want to hear. I think we, the fans, are sabotaging our own title race. In this video, I'm digging into a forbidden theory that the nervous, desperate energy inside the Emirates has become an infection, and it's spreading to the players. I'm going to break down why this collective fear could cost us everything. If you're tired of shouty fan channels and lazy agendas, you're in the right place. This is brutally honest Arsenal debate, but it's done with respect. We challenge ideas, not people. We argue the point, not the person. So, if you love proper football conversation, real fan perspectives, and a community that can disagree without falling apart, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and get involved in the comments. This is in the North Bank, and I'm Gunner Richie. Different opinions, one club, one community. Up the Arsenal. So, begin, I'll take a drink. I'll be completely honest with you. This isn't a knock on our passion. It's a diagnosis of a problem that was on full display for the world to see against Manchester United. A problem that's been bubbling under the surface in games like that 0-0 draw with Liverpool. We are literally top of the league, and yet it feels like we're walking over a tightrope over a canyon of this. The supercomputer gives us something like an 84% chance of winning the league, but I'd bet that 84% of Arsenal fans feel sick with anxiety, not giddy with confidence. This video is my attempt to understand why. Why does our stadium feel like one of the most anxious places in European football? And how do we stop it from derailing a season that promises so much? The problem isn't really on the pitch. It's in the stands, it's in our collective psyche, it's a heavy, suffocating tension that falls over the Emirates. The second thing is, don't go perfectly to plan. It's a disease, and its main symptom is a nervous energy that is becoming an unwanted 12th man. Let's be brutally honest and look at the evidence from our last match. The game against Manchester United wasn't just a defeat. It felt like a public breakdown of our deepest fears. We went into that game a fortress. We had a remarkable defensive record, chasing down Chelsea's legendary 2004 to 2005 low of just 15 goals conceded for a season. We'd only let in 14 in all year, but the atmosphere before kickoff was electric, buzzing with hope that this was another step forward towards the promised land. Then, the 29th minute, we score a slightly bizarre own goal. But who really cares? 1-0 to the Arsenal for a split second euphoria. But what happened next is the heart of our problem. Instead of the stadium erupting into a cauldron of noise to push the team on and suffocate United, a strange quiet fell. It wasn't the calm of a confident crowd, it was the hush of 60,000 people holding their breath, just waiting for the other shoe to drop. We were leading, but we were terrified. And drop it did. United equalised just 8 minutes later. A mistake, a quick punishment. You could physically feel the shift. 60,000 shoulders slumped at once. The encouraging walls were replaced by groans. The air got thick with an almost unspoken, "Oh, here we go again." That isn't support, that's a panic attack being transmitted directly to the players. And they aren't immune to it. They are human. They feel that change. They hear the groans when the pass goes sideways. They sense of impatience when an attack doesn't end with a shot. This isn't a one-off. Think back to the Liverpool game on January the 8th, a tense top-of-the-table clash that ended 0-0. We missed a chance to go 8 points clear that night, but what I remember most is the sound of the crowd in the second half. It was a symphony of anxiety. The game was scoreless, everything to play for, yet the loudest noise wasn't a song. It was that sharp, impatient clap. You know the one. The clap that doesn't say, come on, but get on with it. Every time a player turned back to recycle possession instead of pushing a risky ball forward, you could hear a collective sigh. The longer the game went on, the more the stadium felt like an exam hall where everyone was running out of time. The team failed to land a single shot on target for almost the entire second half. Is that a coincidence? Or is it what happens when players are paralysed by the fear of making a mistake in front of a crowd that's audibly losing its patience? Contrast this with our rivals. When City are drawing 0-0 at home, there's a patience, a trust in the system. At Anfield, even during a down year, there's a defiant rule that seems to drag their team forward. But with the Emirates, it feels like we're all collectively breathing into a paper bag. The expectation has become so immense, so desperate, that it's curdled into a deep-seated fear of not winning. I'm going to take a quick thing and then we'll get back. But if you're liking this deep dive analysis, come over and subscribe. The loss to United was the ultimate proof. After they equalised, we collapsed. We went from being in control to being ragged and nervous. They scored again just after half-time. The noise then was just anger and despair. We looked exactly how the fans sounded. Edgy. A late equaliser from us should have sparked a monumental push. The moment the crowd carries the team over the line, and for a second, it did. But that underlying anxiety never really left. So when a United attacker was allowed to curl in their winner, just 3 minutes later, the stadium was silenced, stunned into bitter, resentful quiet. Our first home defeat of the season wasn't just a loss of 3 points, it was a loss of our composure on and off the pitch. The disease had taken hold. So why? Why has our fan base, in the middle of our best title shot in 22 years, become so riddled with anxiety? To understand the sickness, you have to understand the trauma. And for Arsenal fans, that trauma is deep, recent and repetitive. The root cause of all this nervous energy isn't entitlement or a lack of passion. It's scar tissue, specifically the scar tissue from 3 consecutive second place finishes. Think about what that does to a fan base. 3 years in a row, we've been on the edge of glory, only to fall short. 3 years of hope building to a fever pitch, only to be replaced by that bitter taste of what if. It's like being promised the world and having it snatched away at the last second. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. This isn't ancient history. This is the fresh, lived experience of every single Arsenal fan in that stadium. Let's rewind. The 22-23 season, we were brilliant, playing exhilarating football. And 4 months, we looked like champions elect. We had a huge lead, but we all know what happened. The pressure mounted, injuries hit, and we stumbled. That hope evaporated in a few painful weeks. That was the first cut. It was deep. Then 2022, 2023, 2024, we were told we learned our lesson. The squad was stronger, more experienced. This time, it was a dogfight with City. We went toe-to-toe with one of the greatest teams ever assembled and pushed them all the way. But again, second place. It wasn't a collapse, just not quite enough. It was the pain of knowing you gave everything and it still wasn't enough. That's the second cup, right on top of the first. And then last season, 2024, 2025, we did it again. A third straight season ending up as runners-up. By this point, the trauma is ingrained. It's no longer just disappointment, it's a pattern. A psychological burden. The question in your head stops being, can we win the league? And becomes, how are we going to lose it this time? This history is patient zero for our anxiety epidemic. Every pass that goes astray today isn't just a mistake in the moment. It's a flashback to a previous collapse. Every missed chance is a ghost of a title challenge past. When we're in the Emirates drawing 0-0 with Liverpool, the collective mind of the fanbase isn't in the present. It's reliving those draws against West Ham and Southampton from 23. It's remembering the drop points that cost us everything. This desperation is made worse by the banter years that came before this revival. Let's be honest about it. The slow decline under Wenger, the frustration of the Emery spell, the uncertainty of Arteta's early days. For a long time, being an Arsenal fan was an exercise in lowering your expectations. We went from invincibles to just hoping for fourth place. Or at least that's what it felt. Now, after years of starving, we're finally back at the banquet at the top table, and we are so hungry, so desperate that we're terrified of the food being taken away again. That's the core of it. The love for this club is so powerful that it's become a source of immense pressure. It's a love that has been strained and tested by repeated heartbreak. And like someone who's been cheated on too many times, we've just lost the ability to trust. We're constantly looking for signs that it's all about to go wrong again. That's why the atmosphere turns so quickly. The first sign of trouble, a stray pass, a defensive slip, a United equaliser, it triggers the trauma. It confirms our deepest, darkest fear. This time will be just like last time. And so we groan. We get impatient, we scream, shoot! Because we're trying to push the issue, to push the team over the line with sheer willpower. But what we see as a desperate push for victory, players on the pitch feel as a wave of anxiety. A desperation to win, born from the trauma of near misses, has become the very infection that threatens to make it happen all over again. This fan-driven anxiety isn't some abstract concept, it's a real force that flows from the stands over the white lines and right into the heads of players. The infection is spreading and we're seeing symptoms in real time. The pressure is causing calm, technical footballers to make tense, uncharacteristic decisions. Let's start with the most obvious symptom. Snatched shots and rushed decisions. In both the Liverpool and United games, there were moments where attackers, who are normally so fluid, became rigid and unpredictable. Why? Because when 60,000 people audibly groan, every second you hold the ball, your thinking changes from what's the best football decision to I have to do something now. This leads to players taking pot shots from terrible angles just to appease the raw shoot. It leads to a forward foot passing, forcing a pass that isn't on, because turning back to keep the ball will be met with a collective sigh of frustration. We saw it against Liverpool. where a team that had been so creative suddenly couldn't land a shot on target for nearly an entire half. The players weren't lacking quality, they were lacking composure. A composure being worn away by the impatient energy from the stand. They become afraid to take the risks that make them great. Because the punishment for failure, the sound of disappointment from their own fans, is instant and harsh. Now let's talk about the defence. Before that United game, we were on course for a historic defensive season. A well-oiled machine built on focus and composure. Then the United game. 3 goals conceded at home for the first time in well over a year. The fortress was breached. Was it just a bad day? Or was it the logical conclusion of a defence playing in front of a crowd that had gone from a wall of sound to a nervous wreck? Think about it. A player like Gabriel, he's a warrior who thrives on emotion. When he makes a mistake but feels the backing of a defiant away end, he fights back. But when confidence evaporates at home, can a player so tuned in to the game's emotional state not feel that? Is it any wonder then that a defensive unit that had been so solid suddenly looked so disjointed? A simple lapse in concentration from our midfield for their first goal is a prime example. That's the kind of error that happens when the background noise is fear, not focus. Suddenly you're not just playing against the opponent, you're playing against the weight of 60,000 people's anxieties. Even a goalkeeper isn't immune. David Raya has been incredible, but the pressure from a nervous crowd is unique for a keeper. Every back pass becomes a nil deal. The fans are screaming for the ball to be launched forward anywhere instead of trusting the process of playing out from the back. This completely neutralises one of our biggest strengths. A nervous crowd forces a keeper to choose the safe long punt over the brave smart pass. This was clear against Liverpool, where one of Raya's hurried clearances under pressure led directly to them hitting the crossbar. That play didn't start with Raya, started with the crowd's tension, making a simple back pass feel like a high wire act. This infection creates a vicious cycle. The crowd gets nervous and transmits it to the players. The players get nervous and make a mistake. The mistake validates the crowd's nervousness, so they become even more anxious. And the downward spiral of fear continues, right in the middle of a title race. Arteta has built this team on tactical discipline and incredible depth, but no tactic can fully stop the corrosive effect of a home crowd that has forgotten how to believe when it matters most. So what are the stakes? What's the ultimate cost of this disease of anxiety? Well, I think it's simple and it's brutal. It could cost us everything. It could be the one thing that turns the season of destiny into another chapter in our book of near misses. The consequence of our own fear could be the very thing that hands the Premier League to our Aston Villa or Manchester City. The most immediate consequence of our meltdown against United was the shattering of our defensive invincibility. We were chasing history. We conceded just 14 goals all season, and we were on track to challenge Chelsea's incredible 2004-2005 record of only 15 goals conceded. That record is a symbol of a champion's mindset, relentless and unbreakable. In the space of 90 nervous minutes, the chance to beat that record was obliterated. We conceded 3 goals, taking our season total to 17. This wasn't just about stats, it was psychological, and the football world noticed. The walls started circling. You can just imagine the likes of John Terry, the captain of that Chelsea team, sitting back with a smug grin on his face, thinking, our record is safe. That image, we all know, captures the entire problem. It reinforces the narrative that Arsenal is fragile, but when the pressure is really on, will find a way to crumble. The narrative exists because in crucial moments we keep providing the evidence. Our fear has made us a caricature of what rival fans have always accused us of being. We're feeding the very stereotype we so desperately want to destroy. This has a real effect on our rivals. A team like Manchester City is a machine. They don't get flustered. Do you think their players will feel a wave of panic from the home crowd if they're drawing at half time? No. There is cold, calm belief in the process. They know the goal will come. Our rivals see our anxiety and they feed on it. They know if they can just hang in there and frustrate us, our own crowd might start doing their work for them. The Emirates, our fortress, risks becoming a weapon that can be turned against us. The defeat to United blew the title race wide open. Our lead has now shrunk to just 4 points. Aston Villa and Manchester City, who might have started to lose hope, are now re-energised. We handed them the one thing a chasing pack needs. We handed them belief. We showed them a crack in our armour, and it's a crack that we, the fans, helped create. We dropped points in 3 straight league games. That isn't a blip, it's a wobble, and it's a wobble that started in the stands. The ultimate consequence is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The trauma of the last 3 seasons has made us terrified of it happening again for a 4th time. But that very terror, manifesting as nervous energy in a stadium, is creating the exact conditions for it to happen again. We are so afraid of history repeating itself that we're in danger of personally orchestrating that repeat. Arteta has done a phenomenal job. He's built the squad, instilled the tactics, and restored the connection between the fans and the club. But the final piece of the puzzle is emotional maturity. And that applies as much to us in the stands as it does to the players. Our biggest opponent left in the title race isn't City or Villa. It's the ghost of our own past failures. And if we let that ghost win, the cost will be the dream itself. So, where do we go from here? After all, that's it. It is really easy to feel hopeless. Am I just another fan pointing a finger and adding to the pressure? That's not my intention. My intention is to hold up a mirror, because seeing the problem is the only way to start finding a solution. After the United game, Arteta was asked about the nervous energy in the stadium. Of course, he defended the fans. He said, "We have to understand that we all want to win, and the crowd is trying to be behind the team." And he's right. This all comes from a place of deep love and desperate desire. Nobody wants anything other than success. But we are at the point where we have to ask if the way we're showing that desire is helping or hurting. This isn't a call for the Emirates to be a library. It's the opposite. It's a plea for us to channel our passion in a more productive, resilient way. It's about changing the nature of our support when the chips are down. We are unbelievable when we're 2-0 up and flying, but championships aren't won in those easy moments. They're won on the grim, rainy nights when it's 0-0. They're won in the minutes after you concede and have to dig deep. And in those exact moments, our support is currently failing the team. What if the next time a pass goes astray, instead of a collective groan, a defiant roar of "Come on, Arsenal" goes up? What if the next time it's 0-0 after 70 minutes, we sing louder, not get quieter? What if we actually learn to trust the players and the process that has put us on top of the league, even when our nerves are screaming at us? This is a cultural shift. It's a conscious choice every single person who walks into that stadium has to make. We need to evolve from a fan base that fears failure to one that defies it. We need to create an atmosphere that doesn't transmit panic but absorbs it. An atmosphere that tells players, "We've got your back, even if you mess up. We trust you." Because right now, the message we're sending is, Don't you dare mess up. And no one can perform at their best under that kind of pressure. This is the final frontier for Arteta's Arsenal. He has fixed the squad, the tactics and the mentality inside the dressing room. The last piece of the puzzle is us. We, the fans, have to fix our own mentality. We have to heal from the trauma and learn to support in the present. We need to stop being spectators in the tragedy we've seen before and become active participants in writing a new triumphant history. So, I am asking you, am I wrong? Is this just a massive over-analysis? Or is there a shred of truth in this forbidden theory? Is our own desperation the final boss we need to defeat to finally win the league? Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's have a real honest conversation about it, because if we don't, I'm terrified we'll be having this exact same discussion this time next year, clutching another silver medal and wondering what went wrong. The power to change the narrative is in our hands, and let's not waste it. If you've enjoyed this deep dive, please hit like, subscribe and share. Put a comment in and I'll get back to you. I'm Gunner Richie. This is in the North Bank, and thank you for